shocked by this announcement today, or was this something that after what you've accomplished over the 9 years that you were hoping to have?
Um, I wouldn't say I was shocked this morning. I think it started with a conversation probably about a month ago, just with Bones, and talked about there was consideration, and if presented the opportunity, would it be something I'd be willing to accept and take on. And like I said up there, there's a ton of really capable and really strong leaders in our room, and that's not going to change with having me being named captain. We're going to do this collectively, and I don't know if I'd say it was something I was hoping to happen. I think kind of from the onset, it wasn't necessarily something I thought was necessarily attainable or something that it was going to change how I approach the game, how I try and be in the locker room, and how I play on the ice. Obviously, it's a huge honor, and it's something I'm really looking forward to doing and leading this team, leading this city, and I'm thrilled to be the captain of the Winnipeg Jets.
So how much more special does it become that, Adam? You just talked about the quality of people, that there are that many candidates, but you were the chosen one.
Yeah, it's extremely special to get the opportunity to lead an NHL franchise in a Canadian market. For that matter, it's a huge honor, and to know that management, coaching staff, your teammates have the belief in you that you were the right guy, that you're going to be kind of the guy to be the rock, kind of to steady the ship when things don't necessarily go our way, or when we hit some difficult patches throughout the season. I'm really looking forward to taking on that challenge.
So after going last season, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
After going last season without a captain, what does this signal then? What do you think it means for the team going forward?
Yeah, like I kind of mentioned earlier, I think it's something we're going to still do collectively. I think Josh and Mark are still such vital parts of our leadership team, along with many others that were in this room today. And I think maybe in a sense it just gives one figurehead. You don't necessarily have to delegate so many responsibilities, but I think at the same time my job is to be there kind of in those tough times, kind of be that solid, that consistent voice, presence, and along with those other guys. So I don't know if it changes a whole lot in a sense. I think it just allows maybe my voice to be a little stronger in the room.
Where's it rank for you in your career?
Yeah, it's pretty special. I think the FaceTime to my mom and seeing her reaction, and just seeing how proud she was, and it's extremely special. I think growing up and dreaming of playing in the NHL, I don't think this is something I could even have dreamt about. So I think it's up there with playing in my first game, scoring my first goal. It's a pretty special moment for me and my family.
Ever been a captain before at any level?
Yeah, I kind of was captain throughout my career. In Swift Current, was my final year in midget and bantam and in Pee Wee. So it's been something that maybe I've kind of been training for my whole life, but to be a captain of an NHL franchise, it's a huge honor.
Adam, consider that in a year or two, some of the young, high-caliber prospects that are in the farm will probably be making the jump up to the team. Do you feel that in some ways that you're at the front of a new era, that you'd be helping to mentor some of those young guys along?
I think that's an exciting time in our organization. When you have so many high-end prospects coming through the ranks, and they're going to be challenging for jobs, and we have a lot of young guys that are going to be taking the next step. I think the mentorship's important. I think making them feel comfortable, making them feel like they're a big part of the team early on, and so that they can contribute right away. I think that's certainly an aspect of being a leader. I remember my first year, Andrew Ladd having me over for dinner, getting me out of the hotel, things like that. And it's little things like that that go a long way. I think you don't necessarily see them in the day to day, but it goes a long way making young guys feel comfortable, making them feel like they're a part of the team. It's tough. You move away from home. You're still trying to find your footing. It's new surroundings and things like that. So there's a lot of different responsibilities, and me along with the other leaders on the team, we're happy to do them.
Adam, I was going to ask you about the two captains that came before you, and you mentioned Andrew and obviously Blake. What did you learn from those guys, and have you had a chance to talk to them? I know this came together fairly quick, but have you talked to them so far?
So I haven't talked to them yet. I'll reach out to both of them. One for advice. I think there's a lot that I did learn and I can learn from them, and handling different situations and things like that. I think both of them were such passionate people. They did so much for the community. They were so involved in making Winnipeg a better place to live. And kind of at the rink, they did such a great job. They were such driving forces of our team for so long. I think I look at their work ethic, how they treated our teammates and things like that. And there's a lot of different qualities that I can take from both of them, and even Jason Jaffrey, who I learned under in St. John's, and so I've been fortunate to have a lot of great mentors and to play under a lot of great leaders that I'm looking forward to talking to them, getting some of their advice and learning as I go.
You mentioned the FaceTime to your mom. Was that the first phone call or after you found out the news, and how did you drop it? Did you just kind of blurt it out right at the start, or how did that go?
Well, no, I talked to my brother-in-law first. It just kind of happened. We were on FaceTime when I was getting home, but no, I was calling my mom just assuming that she'd be with my dad, but my dad was at the college football game in Seattle, so I had to talk to him a little later, and my mom she was back at home, so it was a couple of nice phone calls to make, and it more so happened. I was getting her to check on my house in Calgary quickly, and we had to get the kind of the essentials out of the way before I told her. But getting to tell her and seeing her reaction was something I don't think I'll forget.
Adam, when we last saw you on the ice in the playoffs, you were certainly leading by example and had a very solid playoff. Individual obviously didn't work out maybe the way the team had hoped, but is that, I guess, a sign of, you weren't the captain then, that's just kind of how you play, but is that where you're going to look to maybe pick up kind of where you left off as the season gets going here?
Yeah, obviously I'd love to just keep scoring every game. I think that might be a little unsustainable for sure, but I think the big thing is, as cliche as it sounds, like, don't change who you are just because the letter on your jersey changes. I think part of what makes me a successful hockey player is playing hard, is competing, is trying to drag my teammates into the fight and sticking up for them and standing up for them on the ice and in the room. So obviously I'd love to continue that offensive output, and it would be terrific to see that happen over 82 games, but I think just trying to find ways to impact the game, trying to find ways to kind of influence the game in a positive manner is the way I'm going to continue to try and play, stand up for my teammates and make them play a little bigger out there.
You're not going to win the Rocket this year is what you're saying?
You know what, I think Connor or Austin or those guys, they're pretty safe from me at least.
You were 8 to 10 years old, I think, Adam, when your dad wore the C in Calgary. Are you old enough to remember some of the things that he went through? Because, boy, what a great first-hand tutelage that would be on being a captain in a Canadian city.
Well, I think at that age I was just happy to be hanging around the rink and, being in the locker room, going on the ice after practice and things like that. But now, being older and, being able to talk to him, and, he's a great sounding board. I know, he's with a different organization, but he certainly has some great advice for me. He'll, be someone I'll certainly lean on, try and kind of soak up as much of his wisdom as I can, in dealing with the positives, the negatives that go along with, the added responsibility and things like that. So, it certainly helps to know that he's been through it in a Canadian market as well, and just the ups and downs that go along with it.
Can you just go back to what you sorry, can you go back to 1 month ago? You said that you and Bones had a conversation about this. Can you just sort of give us the guts of that conversation and where it started, where it led?
Yeah, well, we kind of, Bones is such a great communicator. We talk every once in a while in the summer, just, see how things are, check in, and, kind of just stay up to date on what was going on, with the team and things like that. And, so he mentioned that, they were thinking of naming a captain, and, the potential was there that, it could have been me, and to give it some thought and, to kind of see, first of all, like my reaction to like how, whether it would be something I'd be willing to do or things like that. And, we kind of left the conversation there, and, I gave it some thought over his time, and, we talked this weekend, and it was something, I was really excited to be given the opportunity to do, and, so it kind of progressed from there, and here we are today.
I wanted to ask about kind of being a captain in Canadian city, any city, I'm sure. You're kind of an ambassador for the city, for the club, in all these different ways. You've been growing with the Tova Center in the last little while, getting more and more involved with that. I'm wondering how that fits into what it means to be a captain, or that role of being an ambassador here as well.
Well, I think, you're not only a leader for your teammates, you're a leader in the community, and the Tova Center does such great work. They're a child advocacy center for, children that have dealt with any form of abuse, and, I think it just allows my voice for them to be stronger. I think with them opening their new center, there's so many children that they're going to be able to impact positively, and, any opportunity I can get to lend my voice or, lend my time or anything like that, I'm really looking forward to growing with that partnership, and really looking forward to seeing where that can go as well.
So when did you find out officially that it was?
Saturday afternoon. Yeah, so just recently, just a little before you guys did, probably.
You mentioned the positives and the negatives, and it's a bit onerous. It can be. Did you have to give it some thought? And did you have some doubts about it? Or no?
I don't know about doubts. I think there's the reservations. There's, certainly maybe a little added pressure personally, and things like that. I think, like you said, some days it can be onerous, or there can be a lot of requests or things like that. But getting the opportunity, knowing how strong our support staff is, not only in the coaching and management, but with my teammates, with the other leaders in the locker room, I felt that there's a ton of, really great people around me, my girlfriend Laura, and my family, things like that. It was something that I was going to be able to handle the pressure, and hopefully moving forward we take big strides. We made some strides last year, and obviously last year didn't end how we would have liked it, but there were some positives we're going to take from that, and we're really excited about kind of integrating the new guys in. And so to answer your question, yeah, I had to give it some thought. It's not a light decision. You don't want to kind of just make it on a whim, just out of pure excitement. But after giving it some thought, talking to a few people, and I was really excited and honored to be given the opportunity and to be able to say yes.
What was it like in terms of emotions when you saw the C on that jersey for the first time?
Well, I kind of hadn't really even looked down. We'd practiced with a blank jersey just in the hallway, so we didn't look like complete idiots. But yeah, it's pretty special. I still remember seeing the pictures of when Andrew Ladd and in his jersey, and in the media scrum and things like that. And yeah, it's pretty surreal. I think going to bed last night and knowing that it was going to be announced today, and, it almost felt like a dream a bit. And yeah, like I said, I'm extremely excited, extremely honored for this privilege, and I'm looking forward to it.
Appreciate it.